Welcome to Jerkin Around.
Oh, wow. I'm all, is this a 900 operator? They don't even have those anymore, huh?
Guys, this week's on Jerkin Around, we're talking about Teisha's obsession with eggs.
Yeah. Love the eggs.
And getting smacked with them.
No eggs.
Eggies.
Eggies, no eggies. No. Talk
Sex
about
in the
inappropriate conduct on social media.
Sex in the City.
The new Sex in the City.
I was a person before you.
CJ, the story of how we adopted CJ.
Yes.
Faith building through that experience.
And innies.
What? Innies? What's an innie? Outie? Like a belly button? Innies, outies? Annies? Ew! No, absolutely not. I strike the record. Make sure you make sure this is on there that no, I have never and I'm not.
Totally joking.
That's so weird. I thought you said innies like a belly button, like an outie or an innie, you know?
I couldn't even say it again.
I know. I'm like, where did that come from? She always has to add something sexual. That's why we talk about sex every week. And then I just start spilling my guts, and I say way too much every time, and I gotta stop. Ben's gonna leave me if I don't stop telling stories. No.
Okay.
I feel like every week Crystal is motivational, and then I just am awkward, so I just start sharing all these weird things. That's exactly, it's so rude. Yeah, you guys know. I'm done. It's all, Crystal's all, so I learned that, and it's all like life lesson, and then I'm all, well, this one time, Ben pulled my hair, like it's whacked. I'm done. And then I gotta text Dana every time. No, that's exactly what it is. It's because I'm so awkward and I don't know what to do, so I just start telling.
I can't breathe. Keep listening for more.
Keep listening. You're in for a wild ride.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I'm crying.
Should we say it at the same time?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Jerkin Around, a podcast with Teisha and Crystal. Maybe we were meant to be on video. I haven't said a word negative so far. It's been about good 10 minutes. I'm turning to leave.
We are really making
I haven't said a word.
Great
I said I liked
strides.
your shorts this morning.
Yeah, they're a little tight, but it's fine.
It works with the shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be weird if they were those long baggy
This was
ones.
my Morgan Wallen concert outfit. I'm just
redoing it during the day.
Yeah. No boots, but otherwise.
I would have died if you walked in with those boots on.
I know. They're like knee high. I'm dull. Just a casual Monday morning, you know?
Like me.
Yeah. Guys, Lioness got
weird?
weird last night. I might need to talk about it on the podcast because I don't want to think, our listeners think I'm endorsing it.
No, I think that's why your phone shows you those weird things. Because you watch weird things. Show Dana what popped up.
So I was on Instagram and this popped up. I reported it. I wonder if it's still there. I was like,
It shows what she's searching though.
no.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like the algorithm.
No.
Yeah, the algorithm always
Well, no,
knows.
because I watched a video. This is why. I watched a video.
Are we recording?
Are we
I
recording?
think we should.
Hi,
because-
jerkies. No. I was watching a video on Instagram about mom talking about how not good the egg, there's this like egg challenge where you smack an egg on your kid's head, like you act like you're gonna crack. Have you seen it?
No.
So you have like a little kid and I get a bowl. It's like if I had Fox and I act like I'm gonna crack the egg in the bowl and I say, okay, watch this, now we're gonna crack it, and I smack it on his head and crack it.
Why would that be a thing?
And why is that okay?
So weird.
It's so weird.
That's not okay.
It's not okay. It's like abuse, and the kids are like, some are crying, and then the parents are hysterical. So I was watching this.
That's like so degrading to the kid.
Exactly. So I was watching a video of someone I follow talking
that's why
about
you did that.
about how degrading it is to do this challenge.
Well,
to
that
your
video is
kids.
degrading.
And then, so I watched this video, like it came in my feed because it was someone I follow that's like organic, you know?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was like, and so then I'm in my like
I get it a lot
recommended.
more now.
Yeah, so I got to show you this video. We definitely have to like block it out for our viewers because it's not okay. Okay, look at it. Like, what is going on? And this is in my thing, and I'm like, there's kids on Instagram, and it's just flying, going. Like, you can't talk about like climate control, but you can.
This is okay?
It's okay.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's false information, but this is fine.
Oh.
Like, what is going on? I'm like, so I fought every urge to not tell Dana that.
To cut last week.
Well, when I talk about how you said how Kyle just wants you to be quiet, and then I talked about, I'm like.
Did you feel like the egg girl?
Yes, I did. Yeah, like, but worse. Like, I'm feeling like I share way too many personal things, and it's not okay.
No, let's take a poll on that. I love Teisha's personal things.
Yeah, but it's like.
I think everyone does. Like, your personal things are what make this podcast go. Shovies, gummies, cookies.
Poor Ben. It's like, it's all at his expense, though.
Wait,
Like, he would absolutely die. And
Oh my gosh.
Did you leave it?
Yes.
You took it out?
I took a part of it out.
Okay.
See?
I softened it.
Oh, good. Thank God. Because I literally was like, I was up all night one night thinking about it. I was like, he was like, just take that, put it, whatever.
Wait, why are we recording it again then? You're giving her more to edit.
No, I didn't give it more.
I mean, we're talking about the exact
Yeah.
same thing you didn't want on again.
No, yeah. But the point is, yeah, you're right. The point is, I am like, I feel like I got to dial down the personal
I have to tell you the
stories.
funniest thing though. Do you guys have an Alexa alarm? It's amazing. So we
No.
have Echo Dots, Alexa Dots in the rooms, which I know everybody's listening to us, but they're listening anyways. But so I just, Alexa sets my alarm and then I say, Alexa, snooze. So she'll snooze and she goes, okay, snoozies. I swear to goodness.
Oh my God.
So
Do
I'm
you think
sleeping.
it's because she listens here?
I don't know. So she goes, okay, snoozies. And then
Do you say snoozies?
no, God no, I'm not I don't say yes, but I go, Alexa, snooze. And then usually she'll go, okay, snooze. And then she'll like set an alarm 10 minutes later and then 10 minutes later.
Yeah.
But now she goes, okay, snoozies.
She just started?
I
Like,
think
she
so,
used
or
to
I just
not?
like, no. But she goes, okay, snoozies. Isn't
That's
that
so
weird?
funny.
That's so
Snoozies?
That's weird. I feel like I would hear that more than you. but I
Alexa,
don't have
set an
those
alarm.
things.
Is she plugged in? No, she's not. We should do it. And we could do an alarm in 5 minutes
Yeah.
and see if this one says snoozies.
I don't have Alexa, so I don't know if it would.
Oh, it's great though. Snoozies. And then when you wake up, they're like, good morning. Today's weather is 78.
Oh, really?
It's going to be a great day. And then you can go, Alexa, daily devotional, and it'll read it to you while I get ready.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's kind of a boring devotional. It's very Bible. You might like it.
Yeah.
It's all, God said to Abraham.
I love those ones.
Yeah, and I'm all, what? Tell me how I'm going to be successful, you know?
I'm all, now what did the Bible say about these flying ants outside? You know, I really like the biblical facts. I'm into the biblical facts.
Yeah,
It was Mark
you'll
Moore
like it.
this week. I love
He
Mark
did
Moore.
good. He just gets real animated.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, it's great. It goes with the story.
Yeah.
Church is good. Church has been really good
He
lately.
doesn't cry though, so I'm into it.
That's,
What?
you can't talk bad about the pastor.
I'm not talking bad.
Yeah.
No.
It's like, you can't do that.
I'm not.
You're insinuating that Ashley cries a lot. It's awful. Maybe our listeners have noticed as well.
Should I say? Should we
No, I
talk
think
it?
it's fine.
Okay.
I'm just joking with you. It's just the truth.
I
think it's different
Yes.
personalities.
Totally. And he's
Kyle would never.
He's
Ben might.
hilarious. Yeah, he's hilarious. I just don't love a cry. I don't like when anyone cries.
Yeah.
A lot. It's
Do you mind? I'm not making fun, but you have this piece of hair that's sticking straight out. Can we just put it behind your
is
ear?
it? I'm not making fun. You were making fun. You were just pointing
No,
out
I just
very
think
nicely.
when we watch it later,
Yeah.
you might be like, "Why was that hair sticking out?"
Yeah, totally.
It's like this.
It's
all.
fine. It's because I haven't even brushed my hair. I literally
well,
woke
you
up
could show
and
it.
came like this.
This would tell that it was all like a tease.
Yeah, I
like
never.
It was like this, wasn't it, Dana? Like it was clear.
Was it?
That you didn't brush.
Yeah,
your hair.
your view was better. That view was like.
Oh, I was all. I'm not gonna
like
make.
something about Mary. Like what
Yeah.
are you doing today?
Like what?
You
Did
know?
he egg you last night?
No, that video is nasty though.
bad.
It's bad.
For our listeners, Teisha watches inappropriate things on Instagram, and then she saw.
No,
tell 'em-
I was watching a video of a mom explaining why. Well, we can play it from earlier, saying the egg thing was wrong. The egg challenge kids are doing to their, my parents are doing to their kids. How awful and degrading it is. And then I was watching a video of a woman explaining it, and then all of a sudden an egg video popped up in my feed. But it was not appropriate. It was a guy doing something to a girl and then smashing an egg on her face during, and it was very raunchy. So I reported it.
So tell us why your hair was sticking to the side.
Because the egg this morning, no.
I would freak out if a guy did that to me. It's so disrespectful. Going back to making love from last week.
Yeah, no.
That's not making
No one's
love.
ever doing that.
No.
That's so weird.
No. Have you guys been watching Sex and the City, the new one? I
I
just started recently.
it's different.
Did you finish it?
Yeah, it's different.
Tell me why you're saying that.
No, it's not as the old Sex in the City I liked better. There's a lot of, I don't know, maybe it's just different now. I really loved the first one.
Yeah.
Do you think it's that times are different and we're different?
Maybe.
Like, because we were in college when we watched it last time, and I think my parents thought that show was very edgy at the time.
Yeah.
And it was a lot.
Yeah, like we related then, yeah.
But like, we shouldn't have related.
Right.
To what was going on.
Right.
You know, it was very like, we were supposed to be waiting till we were married. I know I did, but maybe the other jerky in here didn't. I'm just kidding. I'm totally joking.
Whoa.
We remember the Mother's Day dinner when we told that we're not telling.
No.
But
No.
yeah, she was like, she had the buddy, the F buddy, and the this and the that, and we didn't think it was wrong. But I feel like as we got older, we've gotten way more conservative because you're not in that wild phase anymore. So I'm wondering if that's maybe why.
Like the young people of today would totally...
Are relating.
Yeah.
I would think they were completely relating. Yeah. So it's just like a parameter to me on the difference in the generations. Like I feel like we're turning into those people that are like, you know, that's inappropriate, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, there was a scene. Did you see the scene with Charlotte when she goes out and gets drunk because she sells a painting? Yeah. And she's so funny. She's so cute. Her storyline is one of my favorites besides some of it. But I mean, it's relatable, I'm sure, to people and the things that your kids are going through. But so she gets drunk and loses her phone and gets home, and she tells everyone off when she gets home. And then when she gets home that night and she says, I'm a person. I was a person before all of you.
Oh, yeah.
And I was a person before I was your mom, and I was a person before I was your wife. And then she goes and slams the door. And I just felt like that part was very relatable. Like when you're like, oh yeah, the old me was fun. You know?
Oh yeah.
Like the old me didn't check my phone 24/7.
Right.
And the old me, even when we worked in college, I don't feel like we worked in this high pressure scenario. No. Like what real estate is versus teaching is way more exhausting for sure, but it wasn't like people's lives or, well, different. Yeah. I don't know. That was such a relatable part to me. I was a person before you and like a person before your wife. That part was really good. Yeah. And then Aiden at the end, they broke up. I'm like, is she moving?
I know.
I want her to move so bad. I'm sick of that apartment. I think she's still moving.
I just think it's dumb if they don't work out again, you know?
Yeah, why are you teasing us like this?
It's just like...
But don't you think she acts totally different than with Big? Like with Big, they're flirty and funny. I don't know which one I like better. I'm kind of like an Aiden now. I feel like she's more herself, but I didn't like Aiden in the old one. I didn't think she was supposed to end up with him. Well, she wore the engagement ring around her neck. Like, it wasn't the one.
Just like the fact of where he went in life and where she went in life, like he got married, had kids. I just think they're just totally different.
Me too.
And I don't know if it's ever going to be compatible.
Me too. I don't know if I love them back together. I feel like he helped her get over Big, like him dying, but I don't think he's meant to be. I feel like she should be with a city guy. Yeah. And go to dinners and...
I don't love Miranda's storyline because I just loved her and Steve so much. And so them getting the divorce and her, it's just like a lot for me.
I think what's relatable about her storyline is she went with what was pretty and shiny. Like Che. Did you watch Grey's Anatomy?
Yes.
Okay, so the doctor that turned into a lesbian, she was with Arizona. She had the dark hair, Callie. Callie is Che, yeah. She has like spiky hair and like shaved like lines like a guy. She's like transgender.
She's a them.
She's a them.
Yeah.
But it really works for her though.
It's very believable. I didn't even know it was the same person.
Oh, I totally did. Did you watch when she showed the old her?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't even see you like that anymore. Yeah. You're like the perfect Che.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like her storyline probably relates to people maybe going through that. I don't know. Yeah. But...
Miranda leaves her husband.
Because Che was really like, she was on stage and performing and was very appealing.
She was like a comedian, and so Miranda's
finding her true self.
Yeah, Miranda's been with her husband forever. It's boring. She's like, oh, the sex is boring. It's all exciting with Che. And
and then Che wanted her to put the thing on the thing. Oh my gosh. And then
it was a lot. I was like, this is a lot.
There's some stuff that's like, it's hard to watch.
Like, it's like, that should be maybe just kept private between two people.
Well, and they never used to show like guys' things.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And they're showing guys' things. And like, I don't know about
want to see
you guys, but I don't love seeing that. It's like a monster.
With like a boob is
the Loch Ness monster.
Yeah, like has one eye and these things coming at you. And like, I just don't think it does anything.
No.
Like, you know, do your husbands ever show you it like you're going to jump up and down? Like, I am not. Oh, you know, it's coming for me, you know?
Like getting out of the shower.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything.
I don't want to see it. Yeah, I'm all... Wincing.
Yeah, why? Why
Oh,
does it make
yeah.
you wince? It does make me
Like
wince
sometimes
too.
I'll make a face and he's a nice face. you
Yeah,
know?
Kyle too, and I don't mean to be like that.
No.
But it's a lot looking at me.
I just don't think it's one of those things you see and you are like, ooh, like a cookie or like a new shirt, you know?
It doesn't make you salivate.
It doesn't.
Cookie?
You know, like not a cookie for me, but nachos. You know, I don't like
No,
sweets.
and they show it. They show it off like you're gonna jump up and down. I
Yeah.
don't want to ever see that.
I'm all-
I don't
'cause
mind.
I think 'cause men are
because when it's
visual, they
happening,
think
you're
women
not
are visual.
looking at
Women
it.
aren't visual.
It's just happening. Like it's down there.
No,
You know?
men are visual. They
Yeah,
love
there's
the
a lot
visual.
in Sex in the City though.
It's a lot.
Yeah, and then the
I'm like by myself and I fast forward because I don't want.
it's a lot.
It's like.
But
it's
Miranda
uncomfortable.
thought she would go and live this life, and then it didn't work out, and she was like,
she broke up with her.
We've talked about this before, but
They
I think
then
there's an
broke up with her.
appealing thing to getting to not be the mom and the wife. Remember we talked about it and you thought
Yeah.
that episode was boring, but again, you very identify with the mom and the wife. Like you're fine in that role. And I've had sometimes
Love
where I'm
that
like,
role.
I'm okay with a week just away from all of you,
Yeah.
you know? And like just to feel like myself again. I mean, I feel like myself more. I think when you're in that baby stage, it feels like you'll never find yourself again. And I think it's easy to blame your husband for that, but it's just that you're needed in a level that you've never been needed.
Yeah.
And not in a fun way. Like it's a cat. Those things don't say thank you. They just cry and poop. No one's like grateful.
You feel very
Lost.
utilitarian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think Miranda was running from her life more than it was about.
Yeah. Well, she was off in LA. She was, and then her.
I thought they were adorable, her and Steve, with their ice cream and their
I
shows.
loved her and Steve.
That's
I was
like
all,
married
that's
life.
like married life. But I feel like that's what was annoying about the storyline is that was looked at as bad.
Yeah.
Instead of like
That's happiness.
That is happiness. And then people do leave thinking for something else, and then they're alone. And
That's
it's
what I
like,
think is great about Miranda now. She's alone living with a roommate and like, where'd my life go?
Yeah. And then her kid was having a problem, and then she's like, my kid needs me. And it's like, yeah,
But your
you
kid
were
needs
running
you
for
because
your
you're all of a sudden
responsibilities.
same with. I like how Aiden went back to his family.
Yeah.
like he should. He's like, my kids need me right now. We can date in 5 years.
Right.
When his kids are out of the house.
Yeah.
That's again what Dr. Laura believes.
Yeah.
But it's just I don't know. It's there are some
Yeah.
key things that are relatable, but there is some other things that. But again, there's a lot on the gay relationships that is areas that I've never experienced because I've never been in one of those relationships.
Yeah.
So
it's
seeing
hard
it,
to
like the
maybe
top and the
identify.
bottom things, like I don't really understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were fighting over who's what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, that's
But-
a lot.
Yeah. Well, talking last week about the roles and who takes on what roles.
Yeah.
I've talked to some close people in my life who are in gay relationships, and they're like, that was hard for us to establish.
Who
Yeah.
does what.
There is no inherent
Right.
role.
Yeah.
So
So
we-
you're kind of figuring it out.
Well, I've always kind of felt like this with the word gay, and then I feel like with the transgender thing right now, I feel like there was always like that was a stronger thing than sometimes maybe even being gay was like, so there was sometimes you identified more as a man, and then you would see like relationships with like the woman and the man version of like two females. So I feel
Like
like
one would be more masculine,
yes,
and one
I
would
feel
be
like
more
that's
feminine.
more of a thing that
It was
in-
still traditional roles
Yes.
almost, but with two.
yes, and I feel like
see
the
what you're saying.
transgender thing we're talking about is almost more of what's going on. Like it's shining light on the actual where people are really
Struggling.
yeah, like
To
they do
find
identify
what
as
they-
this, and then there's this relationship there.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know. I don't understand it all. Because I have close friends that are gay and been married to two women, two men, and I think it, you know, whatever works for you.
Yeah.
But, you know, Teisha's presented me with a few options, and they're just not feeling right.
Yeah.
But I couldn't be,
I know you.
I would egg you. And
I know. She always acts like she doesn't want to, but it's like your mouth is saying no, but your body's saying yes. No, I'm just kidding. No, but
anyway, Sex in the City.
I don't want to watch it, and I can't stop. It's just like
Sex in the City?
Yes,
Me too. I know.
Like I
I think
don't
it's
like it. I'm
because-
so mad. And then I just heard it got renewed for a third season, and I'm like, no, but I'm gonna watch it.
Oh, I'm totally gonna watch it. I think there's still some parts in it that are good and relatable. I just think we live on a more conservative life. Like sometimes I do think we live in a little bubble up here. You know, that sounds weird, but it is a little bit like that. And then when I see some of those things, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a lot going on. But I don't want to be the type of person or Christian that doesn't try to understand it, you know, because I think it's easy on the outside to just judge things. But I try to like, okay, let's understand maybe why this stuff goes on.
Totally.
But that's like, I don't know, that's just more who I am versus Teisha, who judges people. No, I'm just kidding. No, I just think it's different.
Yeah.
So there is some parts that I'm like, oh, okay, that's why that's like that. Even like I dated an atheist guy in college, and it really helped me understand what that perspective was like, because I've always been a Christian. I didn't understand it. And I was just talking to someone at school the other day about her son. He wants to be a pastor. He's a senior in high school. It's like so cool.
That's so cool.
He's like in student council, and he's ridiculous, and he totally stands out to me. You know, the people that have that it.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, this kid, he's like something, you know? And then his mom told me the other day, yeah, he wants to be a pastor. And he's already starting speaking at like
That's awesome.
churches as a senior. And she was telling me, you know, he freshman, sophomore year, he was kind of going, and he's her last kid, and all of her kids are like great, you know? I feel like once they're off, you did it. Like, how's it going? You know, you made it through. And she was like, but there's periods where they're going to waver off the track, but it doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. You just have to trust that they're coming back. And she's like, freshman, sophomore year, you wouldn't have seen this kid. It was a completely different kid. And God has a way of working you through things to get where you are.
Right.
But now he'll be a 10 times more relatable pastor because he's been through the things, you know? So I told her, I said in college I dated an atheist, and there was because I always just believed in God, because it was like my friend, you know, hey God, I'd like a new bike, you know, like today I'd like the podcast, you know, to really start wheeling it in here. No, I'm just kidding, kind of, but I never really thought about what life would be like if I didn't believe. And he was like, and I don't know if people have said this to other people or people think this, he would tell me that being a Christian is a crutch, because it's easier to have hope to believe in something than to believe in nothing. And he's like, so I get it. I get why you believe like that, but I don't need a crutch. Whew. And that was like enraging to me. But I did go through a stage where I was like, is he right? And I started just kind of like, I wasn't going to church. I wasn't doing those things. I was really thinking like him. And then all of a sudden I came back around, and I don't remember what clicked, but all of a sudden I was like, nope, God is so real. This is so real. And I came back 10 times stronger from going that way. And I believed, just like getting a tattoo. My mom always said your body's a temple, but I didn't really, like, I was like, whatever. And then when I got the tattoo, and then when I wanted it gone, I was like, dang, she's right. The body is, like, I didn't really want one. But so I'm the type where if you tell me don't touch it, it's hot, I'm gonna touch it, I'm gonna burn my hand, I'm gonna look at my blisters, then I'll learn. But I'm not gonna not touch it. So I think you have to sometimes go through those things to learn. But later he did actually become a Christian. Crazy as that is.
Yeah, that's really crazy.
That's crazy.
It is. And I think because I didn't judge him, and because I wasn't looking at it as I was right, you were wrong, I was just trying to understand why. You know, and the Cure for Christ, what's that book? Case for Christ. He was a science guy, so he needed it to make sense. Like, he needed the facts and data, and I'm just not a facts and data person. So I'm not the best person. I'm all, because Jesus said. He's all, okay, I don't hear Jesus. I'm all, you don't? I hear him clear as day.
Yeah.
Do you hear Jesus?
Sometimes.
That is a hard thing, though. People ask me all the time, how do you know what you're hearing?
Well, how do you know it's not just your own
I'm serious.
mind?
Yeah.
That's what I always think. It's my own mind being
Yeah, how do you know that?
I think you just have to pray.
How did you know to bring me that 500? How did you know that was Jesus or God?
Because I'm not that giving. Like, no, but do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like that wouldn't be authentically you.
That's not something that I'm doing. Like,
that's
you
such a good way
do
to
that
say
all the time.
Yeah.
She does that all the time. I feel like for people, I'm not as much like that.
So you knew it was of him.
So it was just so random that I felt like it was just something. And it didn't go away.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'll have thoughts and then they go away. And I'm like, that was probably just my thought. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm more of a facts and data kind of girl, but because I like things to make sense, like logically. I'm very logical in general. I'm more logical than emotional, I think. So
Same as I.
yeah. So I think, like, for me, like,
Even I know better.
I'm like, so for me, I feel like I need to see, like, I do have a faith element, of course, because of experiences that my faith, like, it logistically shouldn't have worked, and then it did. So that, like, you know, adopting CJ, that was kind of something that was a big faith building thing.
Oh my gosh, I wanted to talk about this today, actually. I forgot. Someone was asking me about it. People ask me about it all the time. I think they're still scared of you, so they'll come to me and be like,
Scared of me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not even scared.
I know, but the CJ
so
thing is so amazing because of how you are. There's so much about it I wanted to unpack, if we can talk about it.
Yeah.
But it was the beginning of the break, which is crazy because that was a big plan, I think, for me.
Yeah.
That was part of it. But you had 2 little kids.
Yes.
Like young.
Yes.
And like the marriage wasn't great at the time. I feel like that was like the
Well,
worst.
It was fast.
Well, we had a.
Yeah, it was
we
some
had
months. Did we do some
We
months?
had a 20-month-old, we had a 20-month-old and then like a 8-week-old.
And I don't feel like they were each the easiest babies. You know, like Fox
Yes.
is an easy baby.
Yeah.
I don't feel like
I think
Ken or
because
Bear.
I'm easier now, so he just,
Yeah, but they were like, remember we
Yeah.
hold her at the restaurant? She was kind of like Hudson.
no one would. She didn't want to go to anybody.
Yeah,
but yeah.
and Bear
so-
was a little like that too.
And so, when I think Bear was only like 6 weeks old, and then we found out.
And you were overwhelmed. You were like, 2's a lot.
Well, I feel like
You
1
know
to 2 is a huge transition. 1
Yeah.
is not that different
No.
to me. I don't know why 1 was not hard. Maybe
Me either.
everyone it's different.
Me either.
1 I was like, this is cake. And
Me
then
too. I didn't know
2,
what everybody
I
was so worked
like,
up about.
yeah. And then I think because 1 was so easy, 2 caught me so off guard. I was like, holy.
And they're little.
Yeah, and when you have them back to back, I was like, holy cow. And then your body doesn't bounce back. Like, I remember with 1, I would go to the gym every day, and I was like, my body bounced back, I bounced back. I was like so excited to finally be in the stage of life with all my friends because I was later. I was like, all I've ever wanted is to be a mom. Now I'm a stay-at-home mom. It was like, oh. And then I had 2, and I was all, oh. Like, the wheels of the bus were so off.
Yeah.
So off. And then I was like, I was fat and I just felt miserable. It was just like so hard. And then Bear was only like 6 weeks old, and we found out my nephew went into foster care in California. And so if you're in the same state, you can do a kinship placement where you just get the child with family. But if it's state to state, they won't just do it without getting licensed. So you have to get a foster license. It's like called an interstate compact. So it's expedited foster license, but you still have to do everything. So the 6-month process is crammed into like 2 months because you want to hurry. So you have to take like the 40 hours of classes. You have to, and like I have 2 brand new kids.
And no family in town.
No, Ben's parents lived in Colorado at the time, so they couldn't come babysit, like, for us to go to the classes. It was like, we're doing home study. Like, it's just a lot to get done in a short amount of time with, like, a toddler and a newborn, So it was crazy, but,
And you guys weren't married very long at that point either.
No,
right?
a couple, like a year, 2 years, yeah. So early on, yes. And so Ben, his family growing up was very, like leave it. I always joke around, leave it to Beaver. Like, of course, every family has problems, but
I say that to Gal, too.
But they were like married. There was no one like on drugs and like So I feel like for him, not a lot of chaos.
She just says it like it's normal though. I love that about her. When we said meth.
Yeah, that was so funny, right? You're all yard sale on meth. Oh no. But I feel like I was so accustomed to like things being chaotic and tumultuous and just like drama and weird things, people going to jail, people doing this. So it was like not that weird to me. So when it was like, okay, he's not going to be, the state isn't going to pursue reunification anymore, I was like, okay, yeah, he can come live with us. And Ben was like, whoa. And he was already like, I'm a new dad of 2. And then he was kind of like nervous to. And we had people reach out to us with like stupid advice all the time. Like I remember one time someone told us, don't adopt outside the birth order.
I remember.
And I was so worked up about it. It was like, it's going to mess up your kids.
A lot of people said more negative things than you would think.
Because
like I don't feel like you had anyone really saying it was a good idea.
Ben's parents were supportive. They were great, but they were in another state. And like our friends, of course, close friends. But not like, yeah, I do feel like there was a lot of negative.
A lot.
But they were like, people were like, if you adopt outside the birth order, you're going to mess up because your oldest becomes your middle. And like, and I was like, oh my God.
When you're a new mom, she's still breastfeeding, she's still hormonal.
You're like, I don't want to mess up my kids.
Yeah.
But like, God is bigger than the birth order. And like, and so.
Tell about Ben not wanting to.
Okay, so, and it's not that he didn't want to, he was fearful.
Yeah.
So he was very scared about like what that would look like for our family. And then like, he was like, at the time, which, my sister's doing amazing now. She's like the best mom ever. And, but at the time he was like, and my mom was very involved and she was kind of a mess. So he was like, are we inviting this into our family? Which I was told you before, I really wanted to raise my kids protecting them from that kind of environment.
And having structure.
Because that was the environment that I was raised in, and I didn't want that for them. I wanted like 2 parents that weren't on anything. There was no, crazy, like.
No rest.
No craziness. And so.
Try a different.
Normal.
You wanted your own Leave It to Beaver.
Yes, I wanted the Leave It to Beaver. So I was like, so he's like, and I've expressed this to him for 2 years, dating and then married, and then he's like, well, wait, now we're just bringing all the crazy in. And it was something, and I remember talking to you, and you were like, you guys have to be on board because, like, wrecking your family and your kids for doing something he wasn't ready for is not going to help your kids.
Like, he'll resent you if he's not on board.
So there
just because it's going to get hard.
Yes. So there was nothing I could do. Literally, like, he was just like, I don't think it's a good idea right now. He wasn't saying like never. He was just like, I don't think it's a good idea.
And he's in California. They weren't as close with him.
It's not like it was our nephew we saw all the time.
Yes.
Ben had never even met him. Yeah. He lived in another state. And so we were like, okay, so I just said, let's just go for a visit and meet him. Yeah. And so then
Tell about what you were doing.
Oh, and so every night I would pray for God to change his heart. I was like,
because you couldn't fight with him.
I was like, I can't do this, so I just prayed for God to change his heart. I was like,
every day,
God will change his heart
Chills.
If it's the right thing. And so I just started small. I can't remember if someone told me it was you, or maybe it was. Oh no, she's whacked. And so I don't know if it was God or if it was you or who. Someone told me, why don't you just take baby steps? And so I just said,
because you can't overwhelm him. It was
like,
me.
yeah, I wasn't like, let's adopt someone we've never met.
Yeah.
And he's like, holy shit,
because it's overwhelming. Take a step. Just go. You know, like
so I
you
said,
do it.
Let's go for a weekend and visit. And I remember we rented an Airbnb. It was before Airbnb was a thing. We rented an Airbnb, and we just like went to lunch with him, and then went to dinner, and then that was it. And we just had like a family weekend in California. I think we went to the beach too. We like saw him a few times over the weekend, and then we like came back, and then I was like, hey, let's maybe go again like next month. And then it just slowly, and then all of a sudden he was like slowly like okay with it. It was so weird though.
But she prayed like, no, there was a closet. Something happened in the closet. I remember something about a closet.
Yeah.
So
there was, we like had a talk in the closet one day, and he was like,
and she was praying, and our talk was in the closet.
Yeah.
Me and Kyle. How weird.
Oh, that is weird.
Yeah, no, but on the flip side, what was happening, we were growing apart during that time because
I was stressed.
And I really wanted her to take CJ because I'm outside. It's easy to say it.
Yeah.
But I couldn't push that on to them and their marriage. I needed to let them decide, but it was hard for me to bite my tongue.
Honey, what's up?
I'm not a good bite my tongue person. It was getting hard for me to, we were already having our own things. We both had 2 little kids. Did I have 3? I had 3 by then.
Yeah, Broxton was there, yeah.
Yeah, Bear. So I had 3 littles, she had 2 littles. We were just staying home. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And she like holds everything in, which you would think I would have known that by then. But I don't think we'd been through something this serious. Like, we were with your mom, but like we were kids then, so we didn't talk about our feelings. We were just like, what do you want, Sonic?
Yeah.
You know, we didn't like talk about it. So I'm so open that I just think everyone should be equally open. And we didn't know that until 2 years when we had our talk. She was like, just because you were open didn't mean that. And I was like, oh, we could have talked about this 2 years ago and we could have made up, you know? Yeah. But I think it all happened for a reason because we're so close. I think it was good the way it happened, that her and Ben and everything that happened really bonded them without me. But so she was going through this all kind of alone now because I wasn't really around as much. I was around for the visits, and then the adoption I wasn't around.
Yeah. So then
it was awful. It's awful.
So then we went, and then we were just getting to know him, because like also scary for him to have to go live with someone who he's and he's already been traumatized. Like, it's just,
How old was he at this point? Like,
he was 4.
4.
Yeah. So.
And you didn't have a lot of money at the time. Ben was like new to his business.
Oh yeah, we were also worried about the financial aspect of like
taking on
more kids. You know, it's expensive, which I'm like, it's not as expensive as it now with the 50 million sports, but that's fine.
You don't
I'm
know
like,
that.
what was expensive? You know, diapers, like no, but
he would like,
I didn't work. It was just different.
Yeah. It was like a lot, you know, that first beginning.
There was just a lot of fear going into something so unknown. And I think like my personality is, I'm like, oh, it's fine. Like, you just do it and then you figure it out. And Ben's just not that way. He's a very planned, methodical. He thinks through things. He's not like, he doesn't just make decisions based on emotion, and he very much thinks things out. So we were just not on the same page. So I would just pray every night. And then I do remember we were in the closet and we had a thing, and he was like, okay, we can move forward. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know,
it was like
crazy.
It wasn't even like, she would cry to me like, and her mom would be like, you have to take him, like, because there was a deadline. If she didn't, he was going, you know, to the state.
Yeah.
So it was like, it wasn't like they could decide later. It was like this, or the foster family was going to adopt him in the very beginning.
Yeah. Well,
and then
it was like, maybe he'll go to the foster. Then my mom was trying to get in, and then my aunt and uncle wanted to get in.
But she had to make a decision, or else it was going to be final.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, you know, there was a lot of pressure to a quick decision.
Which that's not Ben. If he feels rushed into something, he is like, no, he will not. He shuts down. So,
so when he said yes, it was like the craziest
It was crazy.
thing.
Like, it was such a God thing that it was like such a 180 that there was no other explanation. And
they had to go to all these classes and get babysitters. Like, they couldn't get a babysitter to go do one thing.
It was,
and I was gone.
Yeah.
But it was,
when they were doing the
now
classes,
looking, it was so God's plan, and like it just how everything worked out, and like that is something that built my faith so much, because it was like it didn't make sense. Like how someone who was so scared all of a sudden changed and was like, okay. And then we just moved forward and did it, and it was crazy.
So I'm on the outside of her life, stalking her. Like, I blocked her on everything because it was too hard to see her stuff. I'm not proud of my behavior during those 2 years, but we are so close that it was like a death, like for both of us, and it was really, really hard to not talk. And I don't love talking about this topic, but it was hard for me. But I'm the type where I take, and then when I'm done, it's like a cold done. I'm not proud of it. I've really worked through that since we've become friends again. But like I get hurt. I did it with boyfriends, and then I'm done. It's cold. I don't care. So I wasn't handling it the best. She was going through a lot, and I wasn't really the best during that time. But on the outside, stalking her, you know how you're like hearing about people. We know all the same people. So it was like the biggest issue for everybody.
Like our friends were like, oh.
It was awful.
Yeah.
So, but I would hear about her, and I see her going from like struggle bus, right? Oh, and then, well, you did have him because then the house thing happened, and that was everything.
Well, we found out we were going to be getting him.
Oh, yeah, that was it.
And then because we were going to be getting him just after his 5th birthday. And
the judge had a rule and everything. It was like crazy how God worked out.
It was a whole thing. We had to like
write letters.
I wrote a letter to the judge. It was a whole thing. But anyways,
it was a whole thing.
Because we were like out of state. I don't know. But we had to, because he was older than 5, he couldn't share a room with the opposite sex. Like once you're at a certain age in the foster care, there's certain rules. He couldn't share a room with Kennedy, and then I didn't want him in the room with Bear because Bear was a newborn. At that time he was, I think he was 1. He was almost 1 because it took that year, you know? So he was going to be, he turned 1 in November, and then he came in September. So he was like 10 months, 8 months. And I was like, well, he's not going to share a room with an 8-month-old, so we needed a bigger house. So that's when we started looking at a new house, and then that's when
the break happened.
The final break happened. But it's fine. Looking back, it was stupid. But it's okay. Totally. So anyway, she finds a new house. So on the outside, I'm seeing her life like grow in this crazy way. Like, I don't think you can understand it because you're in it. But when you're outside and you see like, I'm not sounding weird, but like they're getting new cars. They're going on trips. Like we were like, bro,
a bigger car.
We were getting like quarters for Taco Bell. Like, cause we were both like very.
Like a year prior.
Yes. So I'm like, she's getting new cars. She moved. They're doing these things, but you could see it from the outside of like this abundant life all of a sudden from nowhere. So when we did become friends again, we had these talks. She said, I don't know if you remember this of the shows, but she said, it's crazy. When we did what God told us to, he blessed us in a way that.
Yeah, like Ben started making a lot more money. His business grew, which was like huge.
Helped a lot with the stress of taking this on. They had him at Primrose. I'm like, what the?
But it's funny how
God works.
When you think that the reasons that were the no's or the reasons that were the reservations, those things went away. Once we did it.
Because you did what God asked you to do.
Yeah. So it's such a good lesson, and I feel like I always like think of that when I'm thinking of things like, oh, if it's what's God's will, the no's will just go
away.
And I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, because it was a learning curve. You know, like,
But
not
her marriage got stronger. Like,
yeah,
it
not
was
loving him or like bringing him, but like it was like
adding a new kid in.
Yeah,
who was a 4-year-old.
Yeah, and it was like, oh my gosh, you know, you definitely have different, you know.
Well, and your fast-forwarding parenting styles from a newborn to a 4-year-old is very different.
Yeah, like we hadn't come up with that. We hadn't come to that phase yet.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're talking kindergarten.
Yes. And he's going to preschool every
Yeah.
day, and they were packing a lunch. And
well, and then we had the third person in the mix that was stressful too. My mom.
I feel like you could say that's when it started.
That's when it was like, well, you're doing this and you're doing this, and it's like we're already not knowing what the hell we're doing. So can you not, you know?
Totally.
So,
but he's like, oh, I get so stupid with him. He's just the biggest blessing to not only them, to everyone. And it's just like crazy, because if you would have listened to all the things that people would have said, you wouldn't have done it. And that's like, again, the world versus God. You know, all those things were real things. They weren't making them up, but God just took them all away. And from the outside, it was the best thing that ever happened to them as a family.
for sure.
You know, like her marriage got better, financially they got better. Like they went from like being a mom and a dad with 2 kids to a family. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. Like it changed everything.
And he was like right away, like the best big brother, like all those things, like the birth order and blah.
Yeah.
It was so dumb. I'm like, he totally, like I still remember this moment. We were like in the parking garage and we were walking. It was like right after we first came to live, and Bear was in the stroller. And so Ben was like pushing the stroller, and you know how you like, it kind of makes Ben sound like a kind of weird, but this is kind of weird. But
you know when you push in front of a car and see if you can go get it, you know?
No, but you know how like when you're pushing and then you grab it like to like make it fun for them to like wee, he would like push it and like it was to make like wee for Bear. Ben's a great dad. No, and CJ, I remember CJ like, and he was barely just came to live with us, and he was like, no, like he thought Ben was gonna let go, and he was so protective over Bear, just like right away. It was really cute. And yeah. No, I just think it's a good...
And it was like the 3 amigo. Like, it just changed everything.
Yeah.
Isn't that so cool? And now, I think one of the coolest things from the outside is the relationship. I think, you know, even Dana and we're talking about this relationship. I feel like I'm interviewing you. But the relationship with you and your sister and CJ, I think that is something people would wonder, like, how does that work? Because Tana's just... You know, if we could say, she, like you said, she's an incredible mother. She has another daughter that's adorable. She has a wonderful, like, you know, man in her life, and it's like things have just evolved in such a beautiful way. Mm-hmm. And where I think you're amazing is there was always that, like, how much do you let? How does this work? Is it confusing if both moms are in the picture? And I just feel like you do a really good job of encouraging that relationship, not being threatened by it. Well, you know.
He like knew when he came to live with us, like, we're not your mom and dad, like we're your aunt and uncle, and you have a mom that loves you very much, and she just can't take care of you right now, so like we're taking care of you because we love you and we want you, but like it wasn't like we're replacing. And then we never even told him to call us mom and dad. That just kind of evolved over time. Like I remember it would be like when he was talking to Kennedy, he would still call me Aunt Teisha and Uncle Ben, and then one time when he was talking to Kennedy, he'd be like, ask mom. Like he'd refer to her, like it was first that, and then it like just kind of started where he would call us mom and dad. We were never like, you need to call us mom and dad. And like his mom has always been in the picture. I've always wanted them to have a close relationship because like they love each other, and she loves him to death and he loves her to death. So why would there ever be a reason to not make that be as strong as it can be? Because that's only going to benefit both of them, you know? And never have wanted to do anything like weird with that, you know?
I feel like you handle it really... Am I right?
Crying again?
Oh gosh!
Oh my God! It's not even emotional.
Like all the time. I just love him so much.
She texted
I love
him
Tana
for his
so
birthday
much.
yesterday, and she's
bawling.
crying. I'm like,
and I love Tana so much. You know, I grew up with Tana. I love like CJ is just the best, and Tana's the best. But I love like he sees his mom. He flies out.
Well, she moved because they had a baby.
Like such a cool relationship.
They wanted to be closer to family. Her it's boyfriend, but they're like married. Her husband, whatever, his whole family lives in Michigan, so once they were going to have another baby, they really wanted to be
with
around
family.
Support
and
family.
And it's just the coolest thing. because
So she lives far now, and that stinks because he doesn't get to see her as often as he wants to.
But he goes out there in the summer, and it's just the coolest thing. And I think that's not even just that relationship. I think that's all relationships, right? Like with, co-parenting and this and that. Sometimes there's this threat of like, even when, I have friends that are divorced and then there's new people involved. And we've always talked about Ben and Jen, Ben Affleck and Jen Gardner. They always have seemed like before Jennifer Lopez, I feel like she kind of has mixed things up. But before her, it was very like one family. And I just think the kids only benefit when that, you can try to do that. But then there's some people that don't act right and it kind of ruins that. But when you can, Tana is amazing. So, I think you're really good about that.
And she's also supportive of us.
She lets you.
And like our
decisions,
rules or whatever, she is like totally on board with. She has the same rules and she supports our things that we're, she's never like,
she never goes against what you say or
ask. And if she did feel like something was weird, she would like talk to me about it and not like go behind our back to CJ and be like, oh, that's not a good rule and like you shouldn't listen to them. She's very like supportive of us and like we have an open communication, so I feel like if I was doing something that was bothering her, I would want her to come and talk to me.
Totally.
It's just really cool.
I think it's a good reminder that unconventional relationships and homes are absolutely okay. You don't have to hold on to that traditional point of view with everything.
Totally.
And roll with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I think you do.
Yeah, and I'm like look back to and I'm like, you think like I'm like, oh, I want to raise my kids in a bubble, which I still feel like they are kind of in a bubble because I've worked hard to make sure they're not like exposed to anything like too toxic on a daily basis. But I feel like sometimes real life is good too because like things do happen and
like
I
you
feel
don't dodge the top, like you're truthful about everything.
Oh yeah, very open. And I just think it's important for them to know like you have your plans and then you have the way things go and sometimes things don't go the way you planned and you need to be able to adapt and trust God and be open to things that weren't on your plan. And so it's way better.
I love that.
Yeah.
I feel like we're at a closing.
Oh, already?
Don't you think?
Can we add some more like something more light?
No.
I'm feeling like ooh. No,
I think it's just I just think it's a cool story. And we have other kids in our life that I have a lot of people around us that have fostered to adopt, and it's the best blessing. Like some of those, like I couldn't even imagine you without him.
I know, and then it makes me want to like.
Trying again.
Oh no, it makes me want to like adopt all these kids.
Me too. I was thinking it last night.
I see the kids on this like Instagram. It's like the ones that are like just basically sitting in group homes waiting to age out because no one wants older kids in foster care. It's awful, and they're usually like really responsible and good because they've had to take care of their younger siblings
and be alone.
And I was on the other night and I saw this kid and I like saved it and I was like I felt like
God
pulling at my heartstrings but I was like, oh God, Ben will be like, you're out of your mind because like we have a lot on our plate with all the things, all the practices, all the kids. It's like hard when you have 4 kids and 2 parents to get everybody everywhere. So I think he'd think I'm crazy, but it was weird. This kid like totally popped in my feed and I saved it and it was like I felt like this weird feeling, like it was like a connection, but like it's so weird because that's like impossible. It was so weird.
Not impossible.
Yeah, he was born the same year as CJ. It was crazy.
Yeah,
but
you never know what God's doing. But
God, you gotta pray about it.
You gotta pray about it, but you never know.
Ben would be like, "See ya, have fun with all your kids," because I'm out of here. No, he wouldn't. He's
no, but
a great
if
guy.
we listened to the story played back, you would have never thought you'd be here. Mm-hmm. So take the step, and maybe one of our listeners is thinking about an avenue like this.
Yeah,
and this can highlight maybe they're hearing all the negative about maybe taking a step or adopting or fostering, and maybe this story will help them.
Yeah. Seeing
you guys do it, it made me like, oh my gosh, what a blessing.
You just never know what God is doing if you have that inside of you. There's like, if there's like a stirring or something inside of you that you feel like you can't shake, it's usually like put there by God, I think. Or it's something, and you need to explore it further, And there's also other steps you can take before you like fully just are like, hey, come on, you can foster first, or you can be just like a casa or whatever, like an advocate. There's so many different things you can do.
Yeah. Even a mentor, like
yeah. that's something I feel like God's talking to me right now. I'm like, we need to, we've been talking about Feed My Starving Children too. We always do this give back event, and we want to take a pivot this year, and I really think foster is a big passion for our team, and I think we have to find something to do with these to help these kids.
Oh, it's just awful. Just kids that just want love, just sitting there. It's like it makes you sick. It keeps you up at night.
They're innocent.
It's awful.
The other thing I want to highlight is, in hindsight, describing it, it feels like all these things were unlocked. Like God opened the floodgates and blessed your life, which is true.
Yeah.
And also the effort, energy, and your action got you there. So I think it's important to remember, like, those
you stepped and listened.
You have to step and move
you
and
listened.
action.
Right.
Exactly.
You can't sit there and be like, okay, God, if you do this, this, and this, then I'll do it. You kind of have to do it, and then
and you just took a step. Let's go on a trip. Let's go see him. You just took small steps. You didn't go for the whole adoption
and
right away.
My personality is I'm very
all in.
Going. I'm dropping out of college and moving to LA. And it's like, wow. It's like, well, maybe just like explore what
acting would be like.
Yeah, it's like I'm just a very like
take a Phoenix Hooters job first.
Yeah, exactly. No, I wanted the California Hooters job. No, but when I want something or when it's on my path, I'm very like focused and it's happening and I do it and I'm very like all in, and that was not in line with how Ben operates. And so I think it's so important when you're married, so I couldn't, like, had it had just been me, I would have been like, oh yeah, no problem. But like, I had to really not do that and just kind of take it one step at a time.
Let Ben buy in on his own.
Yeah.
I feel like for men especially, they need to feel like they're part of the choice.
Totally.
I think for everybody, I need to feel like I'm a part of the choice.
Yeah.
But when I feel like something's being
marriage.
told to me, even in friendships, some are abusive and some aren't. I know everyone's like, that's you.
I'm out. Let's take a poll who thinks I'm abusive.
Just a summary, the break was very hard on me too. I feel like but I'm not happy about like how I handled it. I've said that a lot.
Everyone could have handled everything different. That's
but you know what the
learn.
truth was? We both had a lot on our plate. And if one of us would, you know how normally even in marriage, you have one that's drowning and one that's not, and they kind of pick up the other person?
Right.
Well, there was no one to pick up. We were both just drowning in being a new mom and being a stay-at-home. Remember, I talk about that stage all the time. Yeah. That was really hard for me.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for my best friend to help pull me up, and then she's looking for me to help her. That's kind of what happened to us last week with the big fight. Yeah. We were both drowning that day, maybe.
Just a micro.
Yeah.
We didn't take a break though.
No, for like 2 minutes.
We tried to take a longer one, but we had too much to do that day.
Yeah.
Working together.
Are we riding together? I'm all driving. I'm all slamming on the brakes so no, I'm just kidding.
You all pop an egg on my head.
I had my egg carton. So funny. Oh, that's so funny. Right. The egg.
Well, guys.
All right. If you're really struggling, please reach out to a qualified professional, because that's not us.
We're just here to share our journey.
And to make you laugh.
And cry.
And pick your nose.
And touch your boobs.